The refugee crisis that we see currently between Europe and Africa has several factors, underlying factors that spring up anytime you look deeper into the crisis. First of all, it is true that the West also takes part in the confusion that we see in Africa. The West supports some of the places where the refugees come from. They create wars, they create fighting, crises, bad elections, support dictators across the continent of Africa for the interests of this Western hemisphere. But the crisis of refugees must go deeper than that. We must go deeper to find out the root cause. The root cause of the crisis is not merely the question of refugees walking across Sahara Desert into Mediterranean Sea, taking their lives through the Mediterranean Sea or surviving the English Channel to cross over to Britain. But it's a crisis that we must dig deeper to find out who is responsible for the trigger of many, many Africans, for the trigger of many, many Asians, for the trigger of many Syrians. Some of these reasons go back to the same places that are denying these refugees entry into the states in Europe. We have seen the example of Afghanistan. We have seen the example of Iraq. We have seen the example now of Ukraine. We have seen the examples of Syria. We have seen the examples of the Sahara region, Somalia, Libya. For example, a classic example on African continent is Libya, a stable democracy or non-democratic stability, stable, feeding its people in thousands and millions, giving them welfare state, paying school fees, good schools, good hospitals, good roads. It was reduced to a rubble because of mere lies that Libya had nuclear weapons. We have not been shown these nuclear weapons, but it goes back to explain to you that some of these policies are the ones that kill the same vision of returning refugees to places where they have come from. Yet we should be the people to protect them under the Geneva Convention. Yes, to some extent, Africa itself has to blame. To some extent, Africa has taken the biggest toll because most of the people crossing the Mediterranean Sea are mainly Africans. Those who have drowned in Mediterranean Sea come from Eritrea, from the Sahara region, from Somalia, from Ethiopia, Tigray, and from so many other hot points where there's war. But the truth remains, the responsibility lies with the type of governance that some African countries have. The repression of human rights, the mistreatment of humanity leads to exodus from the African continent. But what about the European angle, where we have a total angle of discrimination, that there are people who are told you can't come in here, but you can be held somewhere else, then we are screened. How can we resolve this as the world order? We recently had refugees from Afghanistan thrown into Uganda. We don't know how many they are, where they are, what they are doing at the moment. We still have refugees coming in Kenya in huge numbers as a result of the bad administration of some of the territories that surround Kenya, especially from South Sudan, Somalia, Congo, and Eritrea, and Ethiopia. How long will Africa hold on with this type of menace. Time has come for us to sort our own troubles so that we stop the exodus of the refugees from African continent into the European continent. And it is also time for Europe to know and to stop triggering wars on the African continent and supporting dictatorships on the African continent, where these refugees come from, then they start marching towards Europe. That is my take.